Hello everyone, Jeff here. Yes, I know it's been a long time. I think a year and a half since I put up my last video. I don't know, maybe I haven't checked. Anyway, I'm making a video uh, to, I guess, go back to where I started my journey with 3D printing. Now, I have a laser engraver that I laser engrave stainless steel with, and it was that laser engraver is basically for taking care of business, as they say, and um, it does what it does. It has its purpose, has its need. Now, so at that time, the company was looking into, hey, how do we do some value added and value added product into our product line, and how can we make it and how can we use it and whatnot. So I guess I just went out and I thought, hey, what about this 3D printing stuff? Well, I didn't know what I was getting into until I started. But anyway, I started here. I started here with Elegoo's Neptune 4. I researched, a bit here and that and everything, and I looked for the most cost-effective machine. And these are machines, okay? These aren't toys. These are machines. And you have to treat them as a machine, just like on a factory floor. They're a machine. Your vehicle's a machine, okay? Your toaster, well, I guess it's a machine, but you have to treat it properly too. Now, I was looking at the Neptune 4 Pro, between that and this, and I decided to go with this Neptune because a little less money. Now, what did I find? Well, I found, number one, when I got it, that the firmware with it wasn't the current firmware, a year and a half ago. And the first thing that happened was, it gouged a plate up, okay? And that kind of was way discerning, but Elegoo worked with me. I have to say that that way they worked with me. They sent me a new plate, but also they sent me, pointed me to their GitHub page. Is it a GitHub page, or I think it was their GitHub page. Anyway, I can't remember now. To update the firmware, which basically took away that scenario of it crashing into the bed. So that was all well and nice. Printed pretty good and whatnot, but I still having problems. And the palm wheels, all these little palm wheels on there. Man, if you don't have those things set up, you're not going to get good, smooth glide on any one of these axes, especially the Z-axis, okay? So I'm going, there's got to be something I can do with this thing. So what I did is I know that the Neptune 4 had the linear rails on it, on the x-axis, and I went, okay, so I'll put a linear rail on the x-axis. Now when I did that, and I looked at that, and I thought, well, these other Cartesian, because this is a Cartesian swinging bed printer, and I was looking at, and some of these, other ones had linear rails. One had a linear rail up the center, but a lot of them didn't have any linear rails on the z-axis. So, and that's where I was having most of my problems, was on the z-axis. Doing this and kind of grabbing and setting up those palm wheels so you had them just the right distance away, and it wasn't fun, because they do wear out the more you use it, and there's just way too much time messing with adjustments. So I went out and I purchased all the linear rails that were for this printer, and I'll try and leave a link in the description. I guess that's how they say it. Link in the description, man. Okay. And I'll leave a link down there to the company that I got the linear rails from. Now, I'm up here in Canada, so even looking at this printer today, the printer itself, I mean, the Neptune 4 off of Amazon up here in Canada, the Neptune 4 Pro is like $379, and I think the Neptune itself is $429, and on Elegoo's site it's $500 and some odd bucks. So I'm going, and since then I have purchased other printers. That'll be for other videos. But right now, this for this here where I started. So I messed about. It took me a little bit. It takes a little bit of time for putting the linear rails on, getting everything set up. I put new where the screws connect here. The brass back here, I can't show it because if I move the camera, then everything all goes all stupid. But anyway, I put those on here, which for the backlash, which that works great with the linear rails on here now. This machine definitely runs a heck of a lot, was running a heck of a lot smoother, but I still wasn't satisfied with it. And I was getting, I was getting really, how can I say, I was getting really frustrated, especially with bed leveling, and whatnot. So, I went around, got on the inner zones and looking around, and I found out that you could update this with the original clipper. Well, at that time, this is the only one I had, and I had parts to make, so I didn't bother. And then, well, like I said, since then I have purchased other printers. But I looked at this, and I just went back. I put this thing away like over a year ago. Just put it back in the corner and forgot about it. And then it's only maybe a week ago that, like once again, since then, there's a lot to learn in this 3D printing world, believe me. I got comfortable going, I'm going to throw the full-blown clipper on this thing because it's supposed to just take these little machines and really kick them up a big time notch. So it took me 2 days to finally get the clipper version on here. I'm going to let you know that if you have one of these machines, number one, upgrade to the linear rails. It's worth it. I know that Elegoo has just come out, and it's a really good price. Their new carbon, what do they call it, the Centurion or whatever, nice little box. But once again, up here in Canada, we're looking at, the introductory price. We're still looking at $430. So and right now I have into this here, and this is back a year or so ago when our Canadian dollar was, was a little more value than it is now against the U.S. dollar. I have about $600 into the machine. Actually $650. Now I do have an extra build plate, okay, and I do have 2 more heads. Okay, so that it's included in there, and the reason I got 2 more, well, the one kind of screwed up. Elegoo sent me another one too. That's when it smashed into the bed. It did do a little damage to the extruder a little bit. I was able to fix that up, but they sent me another head, so I bought another one. So I have 2 good heads and 2 good spring plates. I shouldn't call it a head. I should call it the extruder. So now when I want, instead of changing the nozzle up in here, I just take this apart, take it off, put the new extruder on, and then I got time not only to change the nozzle, but I can clean up that extruder and have it ready for the next time. Also at the same time as well, if I want a hardened steel nozzle, it'll be ready. I can do that. Now the hardened nozzle, you're running the all these abrasive materials. It's good for that, but now, the other thing I did, of course, you can see me here, I put on these stabilizer bars because, as you know, when you put the the filament up here, and when this bed's slinging back and forth, that you can just see this thing, the filament reel holder flexing, and it flexes this, and it messes with your print. So these things here, right now, I am putting pressure on this, and there is no flex in this machine. So this machine now is strong, it's built right, and now I put on the original clipper, which gives me adaptive bed meshing. The motors run quieter, okay, because it's all set up for that in the software. The motors run quieter. I don't know how much more I can say about that part of it. It just gives you a lot more flexibility. Now I can actually write my own macros. One macro I'm gonna write is as you can see, the position here pull it about. I want to make a macro so that when the print is done, I just have to hit a button. Up it comes out of the way so that I can take the plate off instead of because when it's done it parks over here, and then I guess I could have the park position up higher, but I'd rather just hit a macro, let it park wherever it wants to park, hit a macro, and it comes to this, I can take the part off. Now, the other reason I got this machine out of the corner, the other reason is because, we've got Bamboo Labs and everybody, you've got Creality now, and everybody coming out with their multi-material, not multi-material, multi-color delivery systems. Multi-material, we have to start looking at the multi-head, multi-extruder tool changing type printers for that. So what I was looking at, that's the reason I got this thing out. That's the reason I put the original clipper on here, is so that I know that Creality is working with a company. I can't think of the company's name right now, but they're coming out with an MMU, and it's $300 US, which will be a gazillion dollars Canadian. But it's got an actual extruder that goes on here, okay, and it has all the Bowden tubes coming in, and then does all that, and it looks like a really efficient system that I can adapt to this printer here, because I'll be honest, doing these multicolor, with all the poop going all over the place and everything, it's a vanity project, okay? My color changes are more layer color changes instead of having color changes for different angles and whatnot on the part, okay? So I would take this machine and I would do that. Spend the money on that, because yes, the Elegoo Carbon Centurion or whatever just came out. Great little printer by the looks of it. But once again, I can see where it has its for doing manual filament changes. Forget it. These open machines like this doing manual filament changes are a dream. They're a breeze and whatnot. If you're just doing per layer filament changes, that's where they still have their place. Now the other thing is it's a Cartesian. It's a bed slinger. So even though they say it can do 500 millimeters per second. Listen, this is not an Core XY machine, okay, or anything like that where the actual bed itself doesn't move. So, to be honest, where its sweet spot for speed and whatnot when you're doing your inner and outer walls is around that 250 to 280 mark, okay? And the other thing you have to remember, too, is your filament. You can only print as fast as what the filament can do, okay? I mean, you can have flow rate, but if the filament can't keep up, then what's the use for speed? All right. So I've been using Elegoo filament. I don't use their PLA. I've primarily used PLA Plus, because this here is the Rapid PLA, and to be honest, I don't think it's any better than the PLA Plus. I can't go any faster with it. So it's they're around the same price, but it really doesn't do anything for the quality of my print and whatnot. So you have it all set up for just that. Now, when it comes to the filament, the PETG, yes, the Rapid PETG filament does do. You can go faster, and with the Rapid PETG, and the quality is the same as using the PETG. So I just use the regular PLA Plus, and then but when it comes to the PETG, the actual Rapid PETG, I have not tried printing with ABS or ASA yet, because it needs an enclosure. That's for another day. So, but for just doing PLA and or PETG, this little machine is quite capable. Okay. So with this new MMU coming out, and it looks cost effective, once again, you look at these other ones. I mean, with the look at Bamboo Lab. Look how much they cost. I mean, when we're talking Canadian dollars, it's it's not in the cards for having that capability. I would rather spend the money on a tool changing type of machine, okay, where then not only can you do multicolor, but you can do multi-material. So, but that's for if it is needed, okay. So, that now little things, I mean, I printed up these little, and I'll call them end stops. They were a great idea. I think I printed both Yegi, whatever. And this one not so much on the X, but on the Y, because you're moving around here, okay, and you hit the little knob, and then the belt tension. So that's great. Slap it on there. It doesn't take much to print. I am going to start printing off the actual those cable holders. I'm going to be printing those off now that I got this thing up and running and using this machine to do it. Now, the only other thing I might do to upgrade or update or upgrade this thing is I noticed on printables the guy has made a shroud that actually allows you to put larger cooling fans on here, because to be honest, cooling fan, and that's where you get your speed from. Speed come from cooling, okay. And I don't know, maybe I can bump up my speed a little bit once it's better cooling, but once again, it's a bed slinger, so if you don't have that first layer on there, and especially if you're doing something with a small part and you want to go fast, forget it. I mean, it just a little bit knocks it off, it's done, it's gone. So you have to be, once again, they're not speed demons, but they can still be very, very capable, these little machines. So I might put that on here because I want to get rid of this great big fan back here, because number one, what good is it? Okay, it runs at one speed, high. Okay, you cannot control the speed of it. Now, and especially with the with the actual firmware that comes with the Elegoo. So I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking just out of the box right now. Maybe because it has its own supply. I got to find out whether this supply comes off the board or not. And if it does, then maybe I can build a macro and then have another button where I can maybe control the fan speed on this along with these small ones for the added cooling. But even at that, it goes all across, only coming from one direction. So where do you need your cooling? You need it at where the filament comes out. So get these larger 50-15 fans on here, 2 of them, and then I can get rid of this. And what I mean by rid of it, I can use it for another purpose, right? Use this output, because hopefully this is an output. I can control this output on the board from a pinout or whatever. I don't know yet. Okay, so that's about the only other thing I would do other than this MMU system to make this available as a multicolor. Now, I guess one last thing I could do is I could purchase, and it's only about $60 Canadian, is the actual canvas enclosure. Okay, so you can use it, so that you could use it for ASA or ABS, but when you get into that, guys, you got to make sure that you have proper ventilation and whatnot, or filtration, whatever. So you have to be aware of that. And there's a lot of things, even with using PLA and the PET-G. I find in my little shop here that, when I got, things printing, you come in, you can smell the odor, okay? I don't know how much particulates in the air, but, it's not like woodworking, and it's not like laser engraving. But laser engraving, on my laser engraver, I don't have to worry about losing heat when I ventilate, okay? But, when I'm laser engraving, I do have ventilation running on that, because I don't want to, especially with when you're doing aluminum, engraving aluminum, boy, there's a lot of fumes that come off of that, and you don't want that floating around in your shop. And if you're putting this in your house, if you had that laser engraver in the house, I wouldn't want to have those fumes in the house either. And same with the printer. If you have these printers in your house, I would put it into one room, and maybe if you have it in one room, put it in a small room where you can put an air purifier in there, so it captures hopefully the particulates and all that kind of stuff. So I'll try and leave the link for the linear rails in that where I got them There is a guy on the Inner Zones. I'll put a link to him, and I know that he shows. I mean, he's very, very, very detailed on how to change out from the palm wheels to the linear rails. Very, I mean, very, very, I mean, way more than I would be. And I fault, I watched his videos, but if you're mechanically inclined, you kind of go, I really don't need to do that step, or I don't have to go that deep into that step, and it'll still work no problem. But he does a fantastic job of running through what you need to do to get these guys up to snuff. So yes, I'll probably, right, like I said, I got about $650 into this now, and you know what? To replace it, I mean, sure, I could, once again, go get that Elegoo Carbon or whatever. Once again, it's $429, but ease of filament changing on that, just it doesn't work. Okay. Yes, I know they're probably going to have some multicolor scenario coming out for it, but once again, then that just takes the price way up. So once again, like I said, I just thought I'll take this guy here for those multicolor print scenarios. I don't have to run it full speed, slow it down a bit, and it'll do just fine. So I'll be showing you other things I'm doing. I just thought I'd catch you up here. If you want to get into 3D printing, these Cartesian ones, once again, they take getting used to. Okay, they're not plug and play almost like these new Core XY ones. They're trying to make it easy, but if you want to get into serious 3D printing, you got to learn. And once again, learn your printer, learn the setups, learn their idiosyncrasies, know what you got to do. First layers, first layers are critical. So set up your bed properly, like you make sure all your settings are good, and rock and roll from there. Now the other thing I do use Orca Slicer. I didn't even go with the Cura that comes with this, or any printer. They all seem to come with Cura. I don't know why, but it is what it is. So there you go. I'll keep you posted. Until then, as they say in my trades, keep a cool tool. Bye for now.